Good morning, good afternoon, everybody out there. Thank you for tuning in on the Schmoes of the North. I am Ryan Payne. Beside me is John
DeGregorio.
DeGorgia. Yeah,
De
okay, I'm going
Guerrero.
to practice that. And below me is Ben Rayner. Ladies and gentlemen, you are here at Mount Schmoedown. We're so glad you tuned in with us today. It's been a while since all three of us have been here together, but you know what? Even then, it's still a fun time when we have ourselves a couple of episodes going. For all of you who today we are going to be focusing and discussing and going to break down the career of the Godfather, Drew Mcweeny. I'm going to tell you one thing, but if there's only one competitor in this showdown who I believed deserves a dominant run, it is this man. Like many competitors I've seen this in so far throughout his career, he just has the most unfortunate luck in the third round, honestly. And it's really upsetting knowing the breadth of knowledge that this guy has. I mean, he has a podcast about 80s movies, for Christ's sake. That pretty much, just focusing on one decade alone, that already gets him so much advantage on so many genres and directors and actors that the fact that he has not yet challenged for the singles belt is kind of heartbreaking, but still,
Well,
yeah, go ahead, Ben. Go ahead.
I'm sorry for interrupting you, but don't forget, he and Sam were on the most impressive team for the longest time.
They were?
Sure. Them versus Patriots were the ultimate rivalry for a while. And Sam and the chemistry between Sam and Drew rivals the chemistry between, I'll say, JTE and Snyder.
Yep.
With Short and Clark. They were awesome together. And I think they would have held the belt longer, even if Sam didn't leave.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't be surprised if they were able to hold on to that belt for at least 6 more months, in my opinion.
I mean, you're not wrong. I mean, one thing with McGueen was it was like Sam, unfortunately, as great as a champion he is, his retirement did throw in like it had so many ripple effects. We're not just talking about the matches that we got afterwards, but mainly the big ripple effect, what it did to Drew McWeeny. I mean, of course, McWeeny did say in private and also on podcast that he was fine with Sam leaving, I mean, especially after that big Iron Man match they had against the Patriots, it felt to me that McWeeny almost felt as if he could do this again with another partner, and he did come damn close with Andrew Guy. Not as close as he was with Sam Levine, but let's say during the first run above the line, this is where they were at, and this is where the title was. Yeah. But then we bring in the family. I say this is where exactly how close they came to, like just by that much. All it was 2 matches that's robbed the family of getting to tag team championship glory, which was going against Shazam in the Ultimate Schmoedown and then losing against Corruption at the start of season 7. So many contributing factors. But that's before we continue on, John. I mean, do you have any general thoughts going in with Drew McWeeny?
Okay, so I actually watched 3 of his matches today just to play catch up on everything and stuff like that. The guy knows his knowledge. He has knowledge, unbelievable knowledge, and he's also the Godfather for a reason. Sam and his chemistry is spot on, just like Ben said and everything too. But there's some small things that I've noticed whenever it comes down to the second round. He doesn't spin again on the second round. He lets the wheel dictate what he's going to do, and he goes off of what the wheel does. I feel like if he went on ahead and spin the wheel again, and it lands on something else, I think he would actually be a little bit more dominant. To be honest with you, I think that don't let your first answer be your first answer all the time. Sometimes it's good to go on ahead and see what your weaknesses are and your strengths are. And he did it again with romance and everything not too long ago. And I feel like if he went on ahead, spent the wheel again, yeah, there's a possibility that he could actually land on opponent's choice. But then again, the opponent's choice thing, though, too, they're not even sure at what his weaknesses actually are, because he's spread out across the board, right? So it's actually hard to pick out what weaknesses it is. So it could actually benefit in his own favor if it does land on opponent's choice. But if it doesn't, and it still winds up, it's a win-win for him on either front. It's just that he struggled a little bit with romance movies and stuff like that. But the guy is dominant when it came down to teams. And that's where he shined in with Sam and everything. And that's whenever the fire started between Sam and him. It was just lightning in the bottle and everything. And, I feel like after that happened, after they broke up, he was, like you mentioned before, Ryan, he was looking for other partners, other people, but no one could actually match that quality that Sam had. No matter what, you can reboot a movie, but it won't have that same style and flavor. And that's basically what it was. It was like a reboot for his career, and it fell flat. Now, with this, though, with the singles and stuff like that, that's basically what he's mostly paying attention to this season, because he wants a single belt around him. He already had that championship belt with the teams. That's what he's on fire about. And having Sam in his pocket, what better person to have in your pocket than your old team partner and everything to actually train you in the singles division than Sam?
Yeah, I can't say anything. Go ahead, Ben. You go ahead. The floor is yours.
Well, I really going to say, you can't forget about Rachel. She's probably right there helping out too. So
Right.
You have Sam Levine, you have Rachel Cushing,
Yep.
and you have the built-in knowledge that Drew Mcweeny already has. This season, he could be a scary player if everything comes to pass for him. And we could see him finally get an untitled belt path, I feel like.
And you are right. We could definitely see that. And I do have to agree with John, though. It's just like, we're looking back at his matches. The fact that on most of it, almost all of his spins, every time he landed on a slice, he didn't bother spinning again, except when it came with teams. He would just be looking like, I'll take it. Like, I was like, looking back at some of his matches, if he had played in his match against Mark Riley, if he had spun away from Sam Jackson, I think he would have actually had a more fair shot to play against. I mean, I love the fact he picked it, because Sam Jackson, looking at it during that time of season 6, it was a fairly new slice. So you can definitely argue he could have gotten a lot of mainly actors and directors questions. But I think there were a few, like maybe 1 or 2 questions thrown in there that did throw him off, that did take him down to multiple choice. And then also in his match against Snyder, and he got classics. He was able to do very well with it. But a part of me felt that maybe if he had decided to spin away from it, he could have gotten a better opportunity to do with it. Because at the end of that round, he was tied with Jeff Snyder, 9-9. But even then, looking into that first round, Snyder was ahead. Okay, he was freaking ahead. And I'm just gonna go, no thanks, dude. I'm not. You were better off like trying to see if you can dominate.
Right.
I mean, because I'm just gonna say this here before I let you guys continue. I'm pulling up my notes. Yeah, in that match, in the Ultimate Schmoedown, before the Ultimate Schmoedown, when he played against Snyder, at the end of the first round, it was 3-2 with Snyder ahead by 1 point. And Drew McWeeny tied it, which is amazing. And some could say it was smart for him to get classics, but still then he ended up getting 7 points. Like I said, anything could have changed. But as I'm just saying right now, just going over my notes in that match, if McWeeny had maybe decided to spin away, test his luck with the wheel, because when he and Sam Forman were above the line, he got 80s, almost 70 to 80% of their round 2s. So to tell me that Drew McWeeny would not have had any luck spinning again, I'm pretty sure it would have happened. Especially there were times he did have to spin the wheel again because Sam wasn't comfortable with the category, and they were able to get something they liked. So I do back up what you said, John. That if McWeeny laid more into strategy, thinking maybe like even if he wasn't intimidated by the wheel, if he had just considered, maybe if I had chose this slice instead.
Right, exactly.
Julio, it did not help him very well. I mean,
no.
Romance, to someone like Drew McWeeny could be like, oh, I'm familiar with these films. I'll give him a shot. But then looking at the breadth of the Schmoedown, Romance has popped up in maybe 30 to 40% of round twos for competitors. So I don't think he was going to expect many softball questions.
And romance can actually expand out to a lot more than just your rom-coms. It expands out to Nicholas Sparks movies like we saw. Yeah. And that's just a straight up romantic movies and stuff like that.
Even classic films like the black and white films. Majorities were either dramas, comedies, romance films. So
exactly.
Yeah. But I'm sorry, go right ahead.
But two, I actually think another thing though is even Lon didn't even know some of those answers either, and he had to go and try and get them to ask him multiple choice. It just goes to show you how spread out the romantic category actually is, and how much work they might have to do to flex a little bit to get that category into place and everything for some competitors and everything too, when they're studying.
Yeah. Because when it's not rom-coms, you know exactly what you're getting into. But romance, they're separate for a reason. They are separate genres for a reason, because there's a lot of romance films that are tragic, romance films that are dramas, and romance films that have action involved. I mean, I'll be honest, even some coming-of-age films can be categorized as romance movies. Right. So when it comes to romance, you can't just think of simply just rom-coms. Like, it really comes to the strategy involved. And I'm not saying Drew McWeeny is no good with strategy, but it just seems to me he was there mainly for the knowledge, just to play, test his movie and knowledge, and keep going. Because looking at his record, before his match against Snyder, he had at least 3 wins and 2 losses on his record. Mm-hmm. I'm sorry. I'm looking at the wrong. No, he had 2 wins earlier on because he had beaten Matt Nost and Kalinowski. Then he had lost to Snyder. Oh, he lost to Snyder twice, actually. No, wait, hold on. I'm sorry. I'm going to pull up his actual record because I only wrote down the map that he played in.
Okay. While you're doing that and everything, I'm just going to mention one other thing, though, too. When you're playing singles, you can't defer to anybody and say, hey, look, is this a good category for me to be in or not? Or anything like that. And can we spin again? So he didn't have Sam to say, hey, look, I think we should go on ahead and keep it or not. He had to go on his own instincts, and that's what makes it even harder for a singles thing, too. It's because you're going for yourself. You don't have anybody else to back you. You're in there alone. So, that's another thing, too, that's actually different from singles to partners and everything else. But I wanted to try and get Ben's perspective on some things that we've been talking about, too.
I mean, everything you said, he's great at 80s. I agree with romantic rom-coms. It's a ginormous category. His base knowledge is already scary. Can you imagine how scary it could be if he studied all the time? Like if he did the work that a Pittman did, or that a Ted Moore is doing, or who else is studying? Walker. I didn't feel like the potential could be through the roof. And I think this year we're going to see him break through. In my opinion.
I think with the McWeeny, it's going to be more than just studying now. I think because now that he's going to get more invested into factions with rejoining this season, he's now going to have, if he ever has the time to join with study sessions, he's going to have more time to talk with many other people in this faction, like Erwin, like Liz, Paige, Frankie Alvarez, Amaru, even Sam, and as you've hinted as well, Ben, Rachel. He's going to get a lot more impact, a lot more opinions, and a lot more help when it comes with nailing down films. Because one thing I should see with McWeeny, he just needs to punch up his third round. Thank you, Leo. Yeah, I pulled up his record. Yeah, he's had an unfortunate, unlucky record, and for first 2 seasons, he had at least he had a record of 2-3 at the end of season 4 because he lost to JTE in sudden death in the Ultimate Schmoedown. Now that match had gone differently. We would have seen McWeeny advance later on, and maybe he could have gone up again and got that rematch against Snyder like he wanted, because. Then afterwards, his only other win after that was the start of season 5. He beats William Bibiani, and then afterwards is nothing but loss after loss after loss after loss, and it is really unfortunate too.
You know, what do you think? I don't want to say it's a problem, but what do you think gets in his way sometimes? Do you think he gets in his own head, or do you think he?
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt you. Keep going.
Well, I mean, going to say, do you think he gets in his own head, or do you think it is a matter of bad luck at the wheel?
I'm a proponent that I think it's more bad luck in the third round, honestly. Sure, the round 2, it definitely puts him at a disadvantage going into the third round, but even then, in his matches against JT, against Snyder, against Riley, he had issues when it came with a 5-point question or a 3-point question or even a 2-point question because, unfortunately, it fell into a genre that he just wasn't familiar with. Now, as dominant as he is in 80s films, even then, you give him something from classics or you give him something of directors, it's still going to be along the line of what else is there? And maybe there are times he has gotten into his head because, I'm going to be honest, when he played against Riley, even though he had himself a dominant lead, the fact that having a hard time pulling out to his 3- and 5-point question really did get to him. And I'm seeing with Andrew Guy, though, when he teamed with Guy, Drew McWeeny started getting more relaxed just playing the game again. Because it seems to me McWeeny feels like he doesn't want to do the character work,
Right.
but he
just wants
to play the game.
Right. And that's you know what, though, I can respect him for just focusing in on the game and not trying to do all this other stuff that other people are doing because he's not that kind of competitor. He's like, look, I'm just here to play a game. I want to go on ahead, do what I have to do. I want the belts, but I want to do it in the way of Drew McWeeny. I don't want to be a stage name. I want to do it under my own name, kind of thing. And I respect that. I can respect someone that wants to do it under that. You know, another thing too that I feel like as well, I feel like this, and it goes back to the second round, like I mentioned before, a little bit. Yeah, the Polo 13 one was definitely something that was really bad.
Yeah, that it hurt too, seeing how he missed it against Andreyko. I mean, it looked like, because look, I mean, after Andreyko, he lost against Ethan Irwin in a very good match as well. But this was at the time of the Schmoedown, it was Ultimate Schmoedown match. If McWeeny had just gotten this win back, he could be propelling himself on the right path because I believe after Andreyko and McWeeny fought, Andreyko's next opponent was Dan Murrell. To see if McWeeny had won, we would have finally gotten to see McWeeny versus Dan Murrell. That would have been
2 heavy hitters.
Yeah, 2 great movie trivia knowledge competitors playing knowledge for knowledge. And just then,
I mean, they're going to say at that time, I believe at that time, Dan was more onto the trivia aspect. Now Dan is kind of more for trivia and character work, but at that time, I think Dan was more trivia based, if that makes sense.
Yeah, because he was first getting introduced into the game, trying to figure out how everything worked, trying to figure out their formula, seeing what he can do with it, you know. And now it's character work, but also too still the same thing of competitiveness though,
Right.
too, when it comes to
Yeah.
it and strategy. And we see that a lot more from him this time compared to before.
Definitely giving more of an edge. Like he was definitely gaining more of an edge, especially as we see in his record in teams.
Definitely. Even back in Anarchy, though, whenever he got up on the stage and they made the announcement that they were forming together, that's whenever it was like the transformation of him doing some character work as well with the Schmoedown. At least to me, that's what it felt like.
Oh, yeah. You know what? Yeah. I love how you brought that up. The Anarchy, when he got teamed with Breanne Chandler, man, that was like my favorite time. Like, because this was definitely around the time when McWeeny, you were definitely seeing more of his personality.
Mm-hmm.
Like after that huge, exciting roar he had after retaining the championships against the Patriots, and then you see him with Breanne, she's all character, but she has great movie knowledge. And you see how well she was able to complement and also at times really show some great mental support to Drew Mcweeny. And he did the same vice versa, to where whenever they landed on some big categories, Breanne didn't have to worry because McWeeny was right there. All she had to do was provide some knowledge that may have been outside his wheelhouse. And it worked in their match against the Self-Righteous Brothers. I mean,
I have to say this: they're very close to JTE and Roca in a sense, where they're balanced, and that's what I feel like. Though I feel like they were a very balanced type of style that you actually need. That's actually if I could actually say if this is actually a great reboot and everything after Sam and everything, I think that was actually the perfect way to go. If I was watching a movie and I saw them, I would watch them two all day long after
Sam. Same here. That's why I was kind of heartbroken that they didn't return. That they weren't a team in the following season. But you know, it was just more Breanne. She had other things to do outside. And of course, I said in our episode with Breanne, when we dived in Breanne, she wants to focus more outside the Schmoedown. More power to her. She definitely earned it. And even then, like, go ahead, Ben.
I really know that. How many matches did Breanne and McWeeny actually play together?
Oh, they only played 2 matches.
Okay.
One was against Self-Righteous Brothers, and then against the Harris Brothers, the newly formed Harris Brothers, because it was originally meant to be the Evil Geniuses, but JT had gotten hurt. He couldn't keep playing, so Jonathan Harris made his debut, and the Harris Brothers won. And funny thing about both those matches, they both in round 2, both Breanne and Drew got an 80s on both times. Well, the first time was a spinner's choice that they got 80s. Second time, Drew McWeeny, they land on 80s, and they go with it. And I'll say this, on those round 2s, this is exactly where Breanne as a partner was showing her support, because there was at least 2 questions in 80s that Drew was not as familiar with, but Breanne instantly just said the answer to the question, and then Drew was like, oh, she's right. Yeah, it is. I mean, they stumbled a little bit when they played against the Harris Brothers, but even then, it was still very close games coming out of round 1 and 2. Now, I did say in our previous episode on Breanne, if you watch Take the Cannolis matches, some general Schmoedown fans or those who are unfamiliar with Breanne might have seen her as kind of like the weak link, but I never saw that. Well, not never. It was more I did not see that, knowing how good Breanne is as a team's competitor. So it made even more sense how she and McWeeny were able to just play the game for fun. I mean, because to be honest, if the Self-Righteous Brothers had not gotten Julia Roberts, we would have seen a very, very different match going into the 3rd round. And also with McWeeny, when it does come with teams, we do see how he is definitely any gaps or any unluck, or anytime he may be unlucky in round 3, it's easily fixed when he has a team's partner. Because we do see that in the first time Above the Line was playing. When they played against the Nerds Watch, when they played against Wolves of Steel, when they played against Team Action, you saw exactly how relaxed McWeeny was in that 3rd round because of Sam, and he was even more relaxed with Breanne because Breanne, it didn't matter to her if they lost or not as long as they played a good game, and it definitely made Drew McWeeny a much more better competitor, personally, in my opinion.
Well, talking about teams, we missed and we didn't bring up the infamous match.
You can hear me?
What? Yeah. Can you hear me?
All right.
Ben,
Hello?
can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Yeah.
We can hear you.
Yeah. Oh, are you gone?
Okay, guys, I have no idea what's going on. I'm either frozen or I'm
No, you're not
dragging.
frozen now.
But
Do you want to
either
leave
way,
and come back?
I'm going to keep going, guys. If I'm still here, if you guys can still hear me, I'm going to keep going.
I can hear you. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you fine, man.
Okay.
Everything's fine.
Was
Alright,
I dragging, guys? Because if I had this huge pause.
You're dragging a little bit, but you're.
Can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you guys now completely.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, good. Hey, it wouldn't be all show without no technical problems. I was going to say, talking about teams, we would be remiss if we didn't bring up the infamous Paddington 2 versus the family match. Because that was a match where it looked like Paddington 2 won, but actually challenged their own win, and because of that, the family ended up winning that match. Do you guys remember that match?
Which one again?
The family was Paddington 2.
Oh, yeah,
Oh,
that
yeah.
match. Yeah, of course, I do remember that match. Needless to say, I mean, obviously, everyone, when they see that match, they immediately think of actually challenging his question. You take that away, this was still a very, very good competitive match going in. I mean, the family Guy was stumbling a little bit going into the second round, but even then, when they got comedy, Guy came back on his toes, supporting Drew when it came with with a couple of conferences, getting the questions right. And even then, when you see when they got to that final round, it was just a war question, a 5-point war question. Am I frozen?
Not now.
Okay, because I don't want to be I'm still talking. You guys can still hear me audio wise, but for some reason I'm frozen on the screen. Maybe it's just taking a while from us onto YouTube. But
We're good.
Yeah, but despite that, as I'm still gonna see, it was a very great competitive match. The one thing I would say with the Paddington 2, when you take away that Ashley challenge, every match the family played in that Ultimate Team Schmoedown tournament was lights out. It was the best playing, the best chemistry I have seen between Guy and McWeeny. I mean, this was at the time where everyone was like, if Guy had played in singles and not in teams that year, he could have had the same singles path as Bateman did. But to me, he fit much better in teams because he didn't have to worry too much on trying to learn everything. It was just more of he covers his basics and covers surface level questions, and then help McWeeny move along and help punch up McWeeny. And McWeeny did the same thing. He covered anything from 80s, helped cover directors. He really took down almost kind of like with Brienne, McWeeny covered any weakness that Guy had, and Guy handled any obscure or any genre that McWeeny just didn't take the time in studying or watching films himself. So, knowing the fact that these two were a good pairing together, when I rewatched that season, or at least their run in the tournament, I really was 100% impressed, knowing how well those guys were able to work together, or even at times not even have to communicate and just go, yeah, this is us. I mean, we're here to play.
For sure, man.
Well,
Yep.
I was just going to say, do you think if Guy was still playing this year, do we think Guy and McQueenie would be on a team together again?
I'm gonna have to say, for me, no, because the style of how it's changed now compared to where it was before, and everything, I'm gonna have to say no. But also too, it's all about chemistry and balance and what they're looking for, what they're wanting to do with singles, because that's basically what McWeeny is looking at right now is singles, not really looking for to go with teams. But if they were looking for someone to be on their faction, Guy would be the one to be on their faction.
Yeah,
and everything. That would be someone that I would actually look at for someone to be on the faction with, but not someone that I would actually go with for a partner, because with McWeeny, he's looking for that singles belt. He said it before. He said, I've had my championship belt before for the teams. I'm after the title belt for the solo belt now, for the title belt for singles.
Yeah.
That's what he's concentrating on, and that's what he's on fire about. Not only that, but he's also on a little bit of a revenge tour as well, and everything, trying to prove people wrong and things like that, and trying to get back to where he was.
Yeah. I want to bring this little quick comment that Leo had said the time when the family played up against Only Stupid Answers, and Robert Adams of the Cinephinex had to fill in. I'll admit that was a very interesting little twist in the. That's one thing with Drew McWeeny's teams matches with part of the family. They had some odd pairings because their first match together, they played against Dagnino and Bateman, which was originally meant to be Guy and Burnett, but being the storyline heels, McWeeny comes in and they play. I'll be surprised. The match against Only Stupid Answers and Bateman and Dagnino, they're kind of better competitive. I'm not going to say it's more of like an insult wise, but they were definitely more competitive than the matches they played against Inky and the Brain and the Wildberries, honestly. Which was really surprising. Very surprising. And I'm not saying the Wildberries are terrible. It was just like, how is it that DJ and Sam as a team together, they really just pull answers out of anywhere and try to get it. But seeing how Dagnino, who in that same season played a terrible singles match against Robert Burnett, and he's able to hold his own against McWeeny and Guy.
Which is the two people that you would actually think that would be a whole lot on a different level than what he is, to be honest with you.
Yes.
And, at that time, they're actually heavy hitters and everything, too. And he actually held his own, which is actually impressive to me, because Tom is just one of those people that is like a fish out of water kind of thing, going up against these two competitive people that are heavyweights. So I thought that was actually pretty interesting on how they actually did that and how he was able to do it.
Yeah, it just goes to show you that with the Schmoedown, anything can happen, and it's just, as you can see, how quick, how easy anything can change when it comes with the last rounds or in the second round itself. Because I do recall in that second round against Bateman and Dagnino when it was just 90s. I mean, actually, you know what? Looking at their slices, they got 90s and comedies a lot, honestly, during their first year, during that year together. They got 90s 3 times, comedies twice, and 80s only once during their first run in the team's tournament. It's almost as if, like, even though McWeeny would spin again, it seemed to me Guy wasn't like one of those players who would tell him to spin again. He was just kind of like, oh, if you feel good on a slice, you take it. And seeing the fact of how they were able to win every single time with 90s and comedies really shows to me that we found their wheelhouse. That was their wheelhouse of strengths. It wasn't until Shazam and Corruption we do see the moment they go outside of that. That's where the weakness is open. But even then, I will say that Dagnino really did impress me in that match. I mean, all he had to do was just try to make sure he gets more than 3 points, and he got more than 3 points.
There's one thing about Dagnino that I can say for certain. Dagnino is unpredictable. You never know what you're going to get with Gucci, with Dagnino. You never know what you're going to get. You always have your toes around him.
That's true. Like look at Brother Loomis and everybody else that he collected and everything too, So he is definitely an unpredictable character.
Yeah, I mean his styles of management is one thing, but let's talk with managing wise. I don't know how good Robert Meyer Burnett was as a manager to McWeeny, honestly. He's a big personality, 100%. We saw at the start of the season, but I personally think he offered nothing that could have improved McWeeny's game. Because in that 5-way match at the Collision, for whoever won, the manager would be commissioner. Burnett literally offered nothing to the table for McWeeny.
No.
McWeeny just kept questions and nailed them.
It wasn't a good fit.
No, definitely not. Go ahead, Ben. Sorry.
I think you said it yourself. Burnett was too big of a personality to handle McQueenie. I think Sam is a perfect manager for McQueenie.
Mm-hmm.
Not only because they were on the team together, but their personalities gel. You can see they come from the same club. They have the same demeanor. You can tell they get along. You can tell. You never got that feeling with McQueenie and Burnett. In my opinion, maybe I'm wrong. I don't want to put words in anybody's mouth.
Well, I don't think you're wrong. I really don't think you're wrong. You are onto something there, because when I rewatched that commish manager bowl at the Collision, you see Burnett just go crazy in the interview on how he won, and McWeeny just stands there, like a statue, and all he has to say is in the final moments of his lines, like, "Yeah, this boat's good for nobody." It's clear that Christian, I think storyline-wise, he wanted McWeeny to become more heelish as a character, but I think it wasn't until after they played Inky and the Brain, McWeeny was not getting too, not to say he wasn't complying with it. It was just more of certain matches, you see him as a heel. Others was just like, yeah, I'm just going to be me. Like, best example, the Manager Bowl match, their match against the Wildberries, and later on against Shazam. The only time we do... Yeah, go ahead, Ben. Go for it.
I really going to say, I'm sorry to derail us for a second, but...
You didn't got to.
Every time you say the Wildberries, a little piece of meat dies. I just miss them so much.
I don't blame you. I have to, my heart literally stops. My heart stops when I say Wildberries, because it's like they're not here anymore, and then I'm back in the game again.
Exactly, like, oh, really?
That is so damn true. I mean, oh my God, Janine, Jesus Christ. It's nothing against her, but yeah, that question, that 5-pointer, that man in the iron mask, she had gotten that, we would have seen Jay Washington as a commissioner for Monmouth Burnett. But
how is this as a team? Then it came to me. Janine the Machine and Drew Mcweeny on the team together.
That's an interesting combination, honestly.
Personality-wise, I can see it jobbing up pretty well.
And I think they both have the same amount of knowledge. I think that would have been a pretty interesting team.
Sorry.
I was going to add one thing. Janine would definitely help with the weak areas that McWeeny had, which is mainly romance movies, a few coming-of-age films, and maybe some family films, because I've seen Janine do very well in those categories. So knowing how he's like very more on the critic side of movie questions, Janine definitely would balance him out. So that is a good pairing. So go ahead, John.
No. Go on ahead, Ben. Go on ahead.
No, I'm having to go to the second that there are different factions now, but what could have been? John, please take over.
Okay, so my other thing is, I love that choice, Ben, to be honest with you, and I agree with Ryan and everything with that. I'd actually have to go with her or Scott Mance as well.
Ooh.
If he was still around and everything too, I would love to see maybe them two go. I think that they would actually be a good comparison because Scott is dominant with movie release dates. Not saying Drew isn't, but I feel like that Scott is balanced out as a player to where he can probably advance in other categories though too.
That would be interesting. Only because
As a manager, yeah.
because Scott is so up here energy level wise, and McWeeny is so down here. Maybe they could come out and balance each other out.
Right.
And I like that. I like that. Oh, a manifest play. That. Wow. That would be awesome.
Yeah, honestly, I've been thinking of Mance. He would be probably I think he's definitely another team partner. He would be a team partner that McWeeny probably not could control, but at times I don't think he'd be able to rein him in because there have been some matches that I've seen Mance have, especially that one Anarchy match he had where he went off the fucking wall seeing that Bateman movie release date slice. I'm just like, dude,
Yep.
you know you can play to get that back. This is not the time to lose your shit.
So, you don't think McWeeny and Scott, you don't think that would be iconic? Sorry, I had.
You just broke us.
Oh my
Like,
Sorry, I had to.
Like, I'm
I had to.
once you said it, my brain immediately switched to hearing Scott Mance say it. And I'm
Me
just,
too.
oh my god. Oh my god. Oh, but man, oh crap.
But I remember this though. This is just me talking about Scott Mance for 1 second. Get this. I went on ahead. I flipped I forgot what I bought one day or whatever. This is back when I was with my ex-fiance and everything. And I flipped the thing over. I was like, oh, okay, Scott Mance gave this a good review or whatever. She goes, who's that? I said, he's the Mance man. You know the Mance man? You know, movie release dates. So, and she just looked at me like I was weird. I said, don't worry about it. It's a Schmoedown thing. I was happy. I just went on to check that with my movie. But still, I have to say Jason Inman would actually be another good fit for McWeeny, though, too, if he was still doing what he was doing.
Yeah. McWeeny, I mean...
Maybe. I know that he not quite as much, but maybe.
Well, Inman did work on and off for Mance, honestly. I guess my issue would have been with... not issue, but I guess one maybe slight detraction I could have seen with Inman and McWeeny would be that Inman, even though he's sort of similar like McWeeny, he does review and he's critical of films. I don't know how he would have been in the third round because Inman, unfortunately, in teams, he is not the strongest in the third round.
I didn't think about that. He's strongest in the first 2 rounds, to be honest.
Yeah.
That's true. And I'm not saying Inman could have improved. I mean, we did see in his short run in Geekdom, he's a damn good player. It just felt to me that because his relationship with Mance, that's the only reason why they were a team together. Their relationship and their love of the Star Trek franchise. I don't think I've ever seen Inman want to work with anybody else. And that's just me feeling it. Like, that's just me. Like, I just don't think I'm feeling it. That's all.
I have a question. Have you seen Inman in singles or in teams? Well, I know teams. Forget teams. Have you seen Inman in singles before?
I believe he played only 2 matches in singles, and that's it.
Okay.
Right.
How did? Do we know how he did? I forget his record.
He won. He played a qualifying match for the Ultimate Schmoedown tournament during season 4, and he won.
Okay.
But he lost against John Roca, and that's who he was playing up against. He lost TKO.
To be fair, Roca is one of those. One of them great, so I don't hold that against Inman personally.
Okay. Yeah, that's okay. Oh, wait. I have maybe 2 other people I thought could work.
That is
yeah. That one. That felt like the way he delivered it too felt to me as if he was frustrated and he was done. Okay, let's just jump to it, guys.
Yeah.
When it came with McWeeny and the family, at least with this run with the family, 2 times in their losses, 2 competitors announced retirements. Andrew Guy announced his retirement when they lost to Shazam, and then when they lost to Corruption, McWeeny just was, man, the way he delivered it though, felt to me as if he was pissed off that he was not getting what he wanted. Not as if he was like throwing a rant or anything or being childish. It just felt to me as if he's played for a while and maybe he's burnt out, and some of that frustration was just finally seeping out of him. That was really like a shock to me. I'm like, wait, you're leaving like that? And then, of course, we find out why he left. I mean, but even then, it was just like, wow, this season's off to a great start.
Well, it was anarchy for a reason, but
No, I'm talking about season 7. Season 7.
Yeah, season 7. Yeah. Okay. So last year, I didn't even. Here's the thing. I was telling Ben this earlier, and everything with season 7 after anarchy and stuff like that. I stopped watching, and it wasn't because Schmoedown wasn't important to me or anything like that. I had other stuff and everything that happens and everything. You know how life is, and so
Sucks.
I took a step back from the Schmoedown for a while, and so I don't know what happened with that situation.
I can't remember completely, honestly. You were right, Brian. They new team of the year without a doubt, but Shazam played. It was out between the family and Shazam when it came to that award. I'm trying to remember the reason why I left. I wasn't sure if it was personal reasons or it was just more professional reasons with the job. Like he was just getting more work and he just couldn't keep committing to the Schmoedown. So it didn't make sense that he would retire. So he'd focus more on work. Oh my god, I really can't remember the reasoning. Honestly, I just remember hearing it and I just go, okay, it makes more sense. Yes, okay, thank you, Leo. Thank you. Yeah, it was more to do with work, and I completely get it. Especially nowadays, certain competitors have walked away that I would love to have seen back. I mean, Inman, he's walked away. He's doing more stuff. He's focusing more on his work. Like he had gotten like a writing job with CBS at the time during the end of season 6 when he was around. And even with my favorite player of all time, Clark Wolf, she's now doing more professional work. And even with Kevin Smith and Rachel Cushing, those 2 work as editors. So it wouldn't surprise me. I mean, Rachel, she's not coming back, but she's still doing a lot of work as an editor. So it doesn't shock me that she focused more on that. And Smets, Smash Cancer, whenever he does feel better, it wouldn't surprise me if he takes a couple of extra months in between his recovery to keep focusing on his job.
Oh, yeah, I mean.
Okay, I just realized now the 2 people I thought would maybe be an interesting pairing with McWeeny. First one, Rachel Silvestrini. And my second idea would have been pairing him with either hold on. I'm trying to think pairing him with either Jada Paramo or Sabrina Ramirez. Like really pair him with some rookie. Like
I think one more.
Go for it.
I didn't know somebody else. McWeeny and pairing them up.
I do like that pairing too. I do like that. I think with him, either exchange between Perry and Rachel and Silvestrini, I think would be a good idea because, at least to me, because we've seen McWeeny work with Sam, who has almost similar knowledge with him, but seeing how he worked with Guy during that first run, I thought pairing him with Silvestrini, who, if we remember, in their match against in that TKO loss that they had to the family, Rachel had completely swept the Kevin Smith slice that she got, that Inky and the Brain got.
I like this, Neil.
Oh, him and Stacy.
McWeeny and Stacy Howard.
Well, let's also not forget when the Anarchy rant pickings happened. If the Shirewolves had not won for the championship, it originally would have been Clark Wolf, Drew Mcweeny, and Anarchy. That would have been one hell of a team, personally, for me to watch. I would have loved to have watched that team play. But also, what I say with Rachel is that Rachel, she herself, like McWeeny, has had some very unlucky round threes. Honestly, like she is a very good competitor. She just gets a slice in round 2 that puts her at a disadvantage, and then by the time round 3 happens, she misses the last. She misses a 5-pointer or a 3-point question that could have won her the match. And I'm just, damn it. Give her a partner who she can work well and bounce off with, that she can draw experience from. And I believe that partner could have been Drew as well. And then when I'm thinking with rookies, I say the same when it goes with Jader as well. Jader showed last season that he has knowledge. He is a good player. He's just a little unknowledgeable with certain with certain round 2 slices that I thought could definitely save him, because he's definitely good in round 3. There's no question about that. Jader is good in round 3. He has like an 88 percentile of getting points in round 3. It's just round 2 is where it deals him in. So having him team up with someone like McWeeny, he'd be able to see how he can keep himself calm under pressure in round 2. And then with McWeeny, maybe learning a little bit off of Jader on how he can work well in round 3.
Absolutely. One of those are really interesting. I would like to see one of those. I forget, is Simmer Sweeney on a team yet this year?
Who?
Rachel.
Oh yeah, she's back with the Den. She got picked up in the subsequent. She got picked up in like the subsequent rounds.
No, I know she's with the Den. Does she have a partner?
I don't think so. I haven't even heard of a match that she's playing yet, honestly.
Okay. Alright. Yeah, I know Condon is with Paul now, right?
That's right. Yeah, the Outsiders.
Yeah.
Which to me, I'm like, you can just keep the pride together. I mean, she and Ben were a good team, but she wants to. But Paul and Ben can work together. I mean, we did see in that match against Lightning Time how good Paul and Ben were together as a team, keeping a very close, tight game, like 1 point, 2 points apart. So that definitely looked like a smart choice. Personally, looking at Drew this season now, speaking so much as we wind down, wrapping up, looking at his singles run. I'll bring this question to you guys. What match do you think of rewatching his matches you thought showed the best of McWeeny, but then at the same time felt didn't go his way? Personally, for me, I think it's his match against Riley. What about you guys?
I'd have to go. Oh, go on ahead, Ben.
Please.
No. Go on ahead. I have some other stuff I wanted to mention. Go on ahead.
I really want to say, yeah, I agree. Him and the Riley match, that was pretty memorable to me. For everything you said.
Okay. John, the floor is yours.
Okay, so I watched the Andraco one. I also watched the Mark Riley one. And then I also watched Lon Harris. So I've watched several ones before coming on and everything too. But the one that I have to say that for me, the most trouble that he had was probably out of the Mark Riley one. And everything too, to be honest with you. It was rough. It was a rocky start from the first round, and then a rocky second round.
Yeah.
And then it was supposed to be this whole entire thing where McWeeny was supposed to pretty much gain a lot of the points and everything like we thought he would actually gain. And it was it was pretty much, okay, Mark missed one, he missed one. Mark got one, he got one. And then Mark got one wrong, McWeeny got one right. So it was like kind of like a back and forth game in a sense.
Yeah.
And everything. So it was rough.
It was almost like literally watching a Schmoedown's version of a tennis match. Like one person would be up, but then all of a sudden it gets back down to even. So when McWeeny had gotten that Sam Jackson slice, I'm going, maybe not the best. Maybe try to get a slice you're familiar with to maintain that lead. I mean, nowadays, now that we've seen with this season what new slices can do for players, rookie or veterans, it did make sense at that time for him to pick that slice. But even then, like we're looking at this with rose-colored glasses, knowing with 1 foot in the present and then 1 foot in the past. So taking everything that we know, possibly at that time, especially during that time of the Schmoedown, where it didn't matter if the slice was new or not. You were still going to get some janky ass questions that would make you question, like, wait, did I see this movie?
Yeah,
Right.
exactly. I want to bring up one more match. Let's not forget, he played Mike in 2017, and he won with the 70s genre. That is damn impressive, considering where Mike is now.
Yeah, Mike has definitely grown more. Actually, it's one thing I'm surprised though this season. I've not seen Mike other than the corruption match. I've not seen him get any match yet in singles. I mean, Eric Gigton, we know he's playing. We've not seen him. I've not seen him wanting to play interest in playing singles, which is funny.
I think he's focusing on entertainment this year. Hope everything's okay there. Yeah. What do you think, Sean?
I have to agree with Leo though. What he said, it was close in round 1, but wasn't able to recover against Lon and everything too. Like I really thought that was going to be his way of recovering from everything that happened, especially whenever he was flexing a lot more and talking about how he wanted to come into the game again, and then that happens. That was rough. That was rough seeing that happen to him.
Yeah, and it really was unfortunate with that match because with that match we saw with McWeeny. I mean, from that free agency when he said, "I'm ready to come back. I'm ready to play," I'm like, fantastic, bravo. I fear for whoever you're playing against. And I see Lon. I'm going a little troubling there. But then I remember last season, Lon himself unfortunately started falling a little bit at the wayside during the second half of season 7. And then seeing from that team's match against Shazam, I'm like, maybe Lon's just not the top of his game. But nope, Lon was able to keep 100%. He was not only able to keep up with McWeeny, he came ahead at the second round. And then seeing how McWeeny, unfortunately, climbing back up, missed that 5-pointer, and that game is over. I'm just, oh, you've got to be kidding me. But despite that, I still think that McWeeny's going to get that match where things are going to turn around for him. And the fact that now he's not leaving, he's now with an official faction, meaning he's going to have more opportunities after these sessions with Sam, talking with him over the phone about films, talking with anybody else in the faction, maybe doing mock matches whenever the factions meet together, So I think McWeeny, he's going to get much better by the time we see his next singles match come up.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Now, wrapping up, gentlemen, any final thoughts you guys have on McWeeny? Because I think I've pretty much stressed out everything I wanted to say about him.
I think I'm just going to say, I think McWeeny, if all of them cards play out right this year for him, I think this could be his year to a title belt. I think he could find his way on the path to a singles title this year. If everything plays out right and if he puts in the time, I think this could be his year, definitely.
Nice.
All right. So here's my final thoughts on Drew. He has a lot of heart when it comes down to this Schmoedown. And you can tell that he has a lot of heart in him. And that's something I respect about a competitor. Someone that's resilient, who doesn't give up as easily or anything like that, and just keeps on going, rolling with the punches, and trying to climb that ladder to greatness to where he can actually have that title shot. And that's what I'm rooting for. I'm rooting for him and everything. I'm hoping that he winds up getting that title, that solo single shot, because he deserves it. The guy's been brawling, climbing through other people, trying to get to that spot. He has some obstacles in the way, but I believe he's going to get it. He's flexing now. He's ready. It's game on for him. Yeah, he had a tough game against Lon, but he can always recover from that and everything. Yeah. So, I wish the best of luck to Drew. I'm rooting for you, man. I hope that you wind up succeeding in getting what you want this time. And that's actually my thoughts on Drew.
Yeah, I couldn't have said that better myself. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us live today with us as we discuss Drew McWeeny. Those catching us on the replay, put any thoughts in the comments that you have about Drew McWeeny. Certain matches you thought that should have been his, or any potential partners you maybe could see him teaming up with. I mean, yes, he said he's only going to do singles this season, but who knows?
Oh.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
Hold on.
Oh boy. Okay, on that note,
let's see. So on that note,
Sean, where can anybody find you?
Okay, so everybody can go on ahead and find me at Movie Lovers Unite on YouTube, at Movie Lovers TV Lovers Unite on Facebook, Instagram, and also too on Pinterest as well. You guys can also go on ahead and get an audio-only podcast episode where you guys get your podcast from. I'm actually having a little bit of problems with Apple right now, not releasing my content like I want them to. So just be patient with that. Just go on ahead, subscribe to however you guys can, where you guys get your podcast from. Another thing too is I have a big schedule coming up for this following week. Starting tomorrow, I have Those Who Wish Me Dead review at 8 o'clock Central Time, 9 o'clock Eastern, 6 o'clock Pacific Time. Also, What About Bob review on Tuesday that I'm going to be doing at 8 o'clock Central Time, 9 o'clock Eastern, 6 o'clock Pacific Time. I have a pre-recorded show that's going to be happening for let's see here. One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. That's actually part of our mental health reviews and stuff like that we've been doing, because May is mental health. So mental health is a big thing, especially when I've been losing a lot of friends and stuff like that. So I wanted to do something special dedicated towards them. Then also too, on the 20th, we're starting off our Rambo trilogy review. So we're starting off with First Blood. So go on ahead, like, subscribe, do all that other stuff. Follow me on Twitter as well, Movie Lovers Unit. Also, too, go on ahead, follow me on Stereo at Movie Lovers Unit as well. And also, too, you guys can also go on ahead if you want to email me, too. Just go to movieloversunite@gmail.com and then www.movieloversunite.com for all your entertainment needs and wants. And that's everywhere you can reach me at.
Ryan, where can everyone find you when your internet is working?
Oh. Yeah, when it's working, you guys can definitely find me on Twitter. You see it on my left side, caramel_pain. Also, the Mount Schmoedown Twitter. And yeah, also here on the YouTube. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Christ.
Yeah. You guys,
I swear to God, you guys are frozen for 3 seconds, and I'm going. Are you kidding me? We're almost done, and my internet wants to do this to me now.
Okay. You guys can find me at Ben_Radio here on Mount.
You guys should close out.
Okay. I'll bring you up in a second. You guys can find me at Ben_Radio on Twitter. You guys can also find me at my other YouTube channel at the Video Studies Network. Every Thursday on Shooting the Breeze. Every Friday on Recapping the Past. Every Saturday on flagship show Get Ready.
Mighty Ducks. The Mighty Ducks thing on Mondays.
And the Mighty Ducks recap on Mondays. Thank you, Sean.
You're welcome.
And anything else? No, I think that's it. Anyway, for all of us here at Schmoedown, thank you for coming. We'll see you next week. And everyone, smash cancer.
Smash cancer.
Smash cancer.